So today we're going to be looking at the best budget-friendly gaming audio mixer slash audio interface. That is the Fifine SC3. Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Beatwalker and welcome back to another video. So today we're looking at the Fifine or Fifine SC3 gaming audio mixer. It also could be an audio interface depending on what you're using it for, but overall, this is a audio mixer that kind of that budget friendly version of, let's say, the Go XLR, Rodecaster Duo. I'm not necessarily going to compare, but I'm going to say that this has a lot of the features that if you're just getting started or getting into gaming and need something to take it to the next level other than just using a USB microphone, etc. This could be something that could be useful to you. So I'm going to go over some of the features. I'm going to go over some of the detailed specs that a lot of people are not talking about. But I think it's important when you're looking at something like this, especially if you're a little bit more advanced and just want to kind of see if it's something that'll work for you. All right, so before I get started on looking at this device, I want to go over a few spec items that I think is pretty important, and I'm going to compare it to some other options within the same price range and also a little bit more expensive, which is kind of interesting to me. So you can go over all these spec items if you want, but I just want to highlight two things really. One of the main things is the amount of gain that you're going to get when powering a mic. So it's always important because people think Shure SM7B can't power that. This actually can, and I'm going to show you an example later, but just for the sake of just going over this, 50 decibels of gain is more than enough. Now, if you're powering something like the Shure SM7B, yes, you're going to need to max this out essentially, or you can keep it down. But if you're going into like Discord or a game, you might need to level that up some. It can ultimately power it, so no worries there. Now, what I will compare it to is this is the M-Track Solo. It's another budget-friendly audio interface, and this is just the audio interface. And this actually has 54 decibels of gain. So for the same price, has about the same amount. And then looking at something that's about $100, which is twice as much as both of these, is the Focusrite Scarlett Solo, which is a super popular audio interface. And this for a microphone input has 56 decibels gain, so only a little bit more gain for double the price. And again, this is an audio interface that only serves as an audio interface. Yes, you can attach instruments and higher output gain, but regardless, we're just looking at the microphone input level. So again, more than enough gain to be able to power most mics, even like something like the Shure SM7B. All right, so the second thing I'm going to look at is one that a lot of people wouldn't really care about unless you're kind of an audio nerd or something like that. Now, once you get into the more expensive audio interface, you're going to get a lot of options in terms of bit rate, right? So, the two main bit rates that everybody uses is you're going to have 16, 32, and then you have 24 on some cases, but 16 is kind of the standard, and then you have 44 hertz, 48 hertz. Now, I use 48 hertz, so this device does support 48, 44, and 48 at 16 bit rate. Whereas something like the Focusrite Scarlett Solo will support a higher bit rate and a higher frequency response. But again, that's specifically for things like instruments, etc. So don't get too caught up on that. It does support probably the most popular bit rate that would be around for a while because we're not going to jump up to anything above 32 for a long time. But 16 is kind of the standard. So it does support that. So if you're interested in something like that, then that's one of the things that would be good for you. All right, so now we are looking at the device and everything in between. So first thing to know, what comes in the box. So what comes in the box is going to be the device itself, a USB-C to USB-A and C cable that has an adapter if you need that, and then it has a 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter cable for your line in input here, and we'll go over what all that is. So essentially, you're gonna get the device, power cable, and a 3.5 millimeter input. All right, so going left to right, the microphone is going to be an XLR microphone. So I'm using the Fifine K688. I actually did a review of this microphone, so if you want to check that out, be sure to click the link above. And then you can actually use a 1/4-inch microphone as well. So this serves as a XLR and 1/4-inch input there. And it also has a headset input to where you can use a headset like I have on here. And I'm going to switch to that right now. All right, so now you are listening to the headset. This is a Rode NTH100, which is essentially a microphone slash headset that kind of come together. But either way, if you have a headset and you just want to use that, perfectly fine. Now, keep in mind that once you plug the headset into this port, essentially this XLR microphone will not work. So you can't use the two of them together. You can use one or the other. But once you plug in the headset, it basically negates the XLR mic. And for the XLR, it does have your dynamic and condenser microphone options. So depending on what you're using, you can switch to one of the two, and then it has the 48-volt phantom power to power that condenser microphone. So has everything you need for you there. We're gonna go back to the Fifine microphone. All right, so as far as the levels go, I'm at a pretty low level, about 60%. And if I'm looking at my, just to show you, all right, so if you see looking at the levels here, it's at a pretty good level. So I'm a -2 on the decimal lever. So you have plenty of room to work with. Again, this is just a regular microphone, which doesn't take too much gain. Now with the Shure, it is going to take a little bit more gain, so you'll see a little bit less of input, but you still have plenty of headroom to be able to work with that. So just keep that in mind. All right, so moving over to your line in, this is self-explanatory, so I'm not going to use anything right now, but essentially you can have whether it's a phone or any external, like if you have an iPad that can play Spotify or any type of media player, you just go 3.5, 3.5, have that input, and then you can have this line in. It does have a mute. The mic, again, has a mute also, so I'll do that and unmute there. So the mute does work for either the line in and the microphone. Okay, so that's the line in. Now the headphones, like I have plugged in here, does have mic monitoring. So if you want to listen to yourself, the mic monitoring is really, really good. There is maybe a slight delay. I mean, I'm talking like milliseconds, if that. I don't notice if you're using something like the Voicemeeter, there's not a delay like that, but there is a slight delay. But it doesn't stop you from talking, because most delays that these mic monitoring have will kind of like interrupt your talking. This doesn't do that. I do have it kind of low, so I can just like barely hear myself, and that's kind of where I like it. Some people like to hear themselves really loud, but either way, the mic monitoring does work very well. And then there is a line out to go to something like speakers. Now that is a 3.5 millimeter as well. So if you're going out to something like a 1/4-inch, you just need a adapter to be able to, make that work. Or if you have a set of speakers that's 3.5 millimeter, that works too. It's pretty much it for the inputs and outputs. Now I'll get to the computer part and what that looks like here in a second. Kind of go over some of these buttons here. Now the buttons itself, I'm not going to push any that are going to affect anything right now, but they're a little soft. They're not super responsive, but they're okay. It's kind of what you'd expect at this price point, but I mean, they work fine. As you can see, you can change the colors here on the interface itself. I like blue, so I'm not going to click that because that's going to turn off the mic. So this electric button here is your auto tune You can kind of like raise your voice a little bit there. Not a big fan of it, to be honest, but let's change it here to A. And then I only notice when you keep talking and kind of like raise your voice a little bit, it like does that, which is really weird to me. But hey, if that's your thing, it's there for you. Really cool. Before I get to these custom buttons, this is the voice changers. We'll go through those. So the first one's male.
It's kind of a deep male, really. So that's what that is.
And then this is a female. The female is kind of like a light voice if you want that.
The robot, it's pretty self-explanatory. Really can't tell what I'm saying a lot, but that's there. And then the monster is just a really deep voice.
And then you have the baby, which is my personal favorite. So you have that to mess with your friends, etc.
And then the elderly, which is kind of a deep voice as well. So I wish they did something a little bit different than the deep voices and made it just kind of different in a way, but that's there for you.
Those are the voice changers or the voice changer options that you have. Now, the custom buttons. All right. What you can do with these is essentially record sounds coming from your computer. It's not super intuitive. I wish it was a little bit easier. All right. So essentially, what you would have to do is hold the custom button down, wait till it turns white, and then play the sound. So before I do that, I want to show. All right, so before I do that, when you when you plug in the audio interface or gaming audio mixer, it's essentially plug and play. There's no on and off button. So what you are gonna get is you're gonna get this Fifine SC3 option for speaker, and then you're also gonna get the Fifine SC option for microphone. So if you're playing sounds from your computer, they're going to go back to the device and you're going to be able to hear them in your headset, which is really cool. And you can use it as a line out to go to your speakers. Now, it's essentially mix minus automatically. There's no option to see what comes in and out. So anything on your line ins is going to come into the microphone, and then anything from headphones and line out coming from your computer is going to go out to your headphones, etc. They're not going to interact with each other and stuff like that. So if you're worried about if I play sounds on my computer, are they going to come through the microphone and go out back? It's not going to happen. Once you have all that set up, any sounds you play, they're just going to come back. So with that being said, so you'll hit this custom button. And that's it. So once it turns white, that means it's ready to record. And then you hit whatever you're going to try to record. And then once you're done, you just take it off. And then now, see, I was a little delayed with the hitting play there. So we're going to do it again. Okay, that might be a little bit faster. So, yeah, there's a little delay. So, if you could time it perfectly, these are pretty cool. So, all right. So another thing you could do is record yourself. So this is a quick mic test. All right. So you could just do little sound clips of yourself. This is a quick mic test, right? So that's pretty cool. You can use that how you want. It works pretty well. The sound quality, though, I feel like this is a quick mic test. Maybe a little bit downgraded, but it's nothing crazy. It's nothing that's, people are really going to notice. So it works how you expect pretty well. All right. So now, really quickly, before I finish up and conclude and give you my overall thoughts, I'm going to show you what it sounds like with the Shure SM7B to show you that that works. So switching over to that now. So I know the big test for an interface like this that's kind of budget friendly. Does it power something like the Shure SM7B, which takes a lot of gain to power this guy? So again, it does have about 50 dB of gain, so it has plenty to power it. Now I am setting this guy to a little I like to keep it just below this green to turn to orange level, so you can just have some headroom to boost it in post. Now if you're going to input like a game input or like a Discord input, it might be a little bit low, so you could raise that. But keep in mind, the higher you have it, the more clipping sound you'll get, or like a loudness level you're gonna have. So this is probably the better. I mean, you can probably come up to about 70% there, but I wouldn't go into the red there. That's kind of a no-go in terms of sound quality. So this is probably where I'd want to keep it. But again, it does power the SM7B, so that's really cool for a budget-friendly option. That if you want to go that route, good on you. Now you could add something like a cloud lifter or a fed head to increase the gain. That would be another option for you. So either way, they both work. So again, this is the SM7B with the Fifine SC3. All right, so that is the Fifine SC3, and again, it runs around $50 for the most part, both on Amazon, both on the Fifine website. Sometimes you get on discount for even cheaper. So I mean, for around $50, like, you really can't beat that. Like, again, for an audio interface, input output, sources, microphone input, headset input, custom buttons, voice changer. One thing I wish it did have was like some noise suppression, but it is what it is. You can always use something on your OBS or in Discord for that. Not a problem. But again, for the price, I think it's a well done product. This is why it's the most popular, one of the most popular audio interface products on Amazon right now. So I'll drop the link down below if you want to check it out. It does support me if you want to do that. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Let me know if you want to see any comparisons. I mean, I could try to compare this to something like the Rodecaster Duo, which I have, or the other budget audio interface on Amazon. I forget the name, but my friend does have it, and he would let me. He told me he would let me borrow it if I wanted to do a comparison. But overall, great product, Fifine. Keep putting out stuff like this because I think it's awesome for creators wanting to get into the gaming space, or just people wanting to level up their sound and not sound like, you know, you're muffled in game, etc. So again, I appreciate it. Please like the video, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one.